then children come along and the dynamics change a lot. If people come in together, it's great, you're in love, you fall in love with that person. It's always love. And it is, it's fantastic.
Sweet.
You give your best to that person, you know.
See her guys, which is helping too.
And a very small, but even my very close friends, it took me a while to tell them because from the outside there was this bubble that I still believed was still happening and real, so I didn't want to burst that bubble yet, so it took me a while.
Global viewers, hi, welcome back to our channel Motivationalee, and here I am. I'm very excited for our next segment, and of course I'll be joined today by one of the amazing women that I have met in my entire life. Very strong woman, very empowered, has gone through a lot, ups and downs, and let's see how she will share her story for us today. And our topic for today is all about being a single mom, but perhaps she doesn't feel that she's a single mom right now because she's more empowered. Let's now welcome Jo Harper. Hi, Jo.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How
Nice to see you. Great. And look at me, she's here.
We've got Lucy here.
Love it. Lucy, say hello to everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Thanks for saying yes to the show. Okay. Great. So, Jo, how's it going? Feeling comfortable there, right?
I am very comfortable.
Exciting
Friday,
today, right? Exciting, because our topic for today is all about single mom. And obviously I don't think Jo feels like she's a single mom, because look at her. It doesn't show if she has, you have been through a lot, but she's great.
But it can happen.
It can happen, that's right. So Jo, let's start a ball rolling because they're all excited to hear your story. And of course, this channel is intended to inspire, motivate, and empower everyone, whatever your circumstances. Okay, so Jo, if you don't mind, let's start with this. When did this happen again, of you becoming single?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm separated. I'm not yet divorced. I'm going in that process. It's coming up to 6 years at the end of the year, so 5.5 years. So
Okay,
2015 November. So yeah, wow. It's when I look back now,
almost 6 years. Isn't it?
almost 6 years, 5.5 years.
Wow.
If you would ask me that time would go that quickly, I'd say I'd never be here where I am now, but it does.
Look at you.
Look at me, yes,
yeah.
and it can happen.
When did you actually know that it was coming to an end?
That's a really difficult question. I think nobody wants it to come to an end. I think everyone's in denial. You have kids, you get married not to come to an end. You have goals and plans. You sit together. They may differ when you meet together. When you're single and you get married, then your goals change again. When you have children, they start growing. But your goal is, and your vision for the future is, you've been together as a family unit. Things start to change, I'd say, in the last 2 or 3 years of the marriage. You start to see things always change, dynamics change when kids come along. The first child, not so much. The second child, you start to grow. I think you put a lot of time into your children, which is fair enough, and that's what you do. I mean, not that you neglect the relationships you have with your partner, it just changes. So a lot energy goes into your children. I'd say the last 2 or 3 years. There was a death in the family, my ex-father-in-law, and I think things changed dramatically when that was leading up to that. So definitely there, but still, to me, it was a happy, harmonious. We'll still have problems, like any couple has problems, like we all do.
I would like to ask this, Jo, going back to almost 6 years, how was you and the kids, the situation itself, if you don't mind me asking?
In the home environment?
Yeah, in the home environment.
Yeah, that's a good question. The kids were a little bit younger then, they were still primary school aged. There was probably, wasn't as harmonious as I was believing it was. I think from the outside there was a lot more disagreements, arguments, but thinking that's part of children and relationships. So there was some clues in that, going to counselling, trying to talk about communication, where we're at. I think when I look back now, I think it was like a blame game. Like we both took responsibility in what was happening and communicated a lot more. I think communication, I think we get to the end and then you want to communicate and it's too late and you want to be vulnerable then and it's probably a little bit too late. So I think but it's that next step. It becomes toxic. It's a really hard step because you think, what is next out there?
Yeah.
This is all I've known for 17 years. That's your life.
So you've been together for 17 years.
17
and
years.
then almost 6 years ago, you had that moment, like the next chapter of your life.
Next.
What was the turning point for you to have that you have decided to move forward? What was this turning point?
Wow.
Like, this is it. I need to move forward.
It took a while, actually. I mean, I know it's 5 years now and I've come a long way. I could say the first 12 months was a blur because that was, you still have hope. You're going through the everyday, you have to work, look after children. You're going through the mundane financials and the legalities of it all. Still thinking it's not going to happen. And I think putting that off in that denial stage, I was in that denial quite a lot. So it wasn't probably till 2 or 3, probably a year ago, 18 months ago, that I started to really move forward. I call it stuck. I was in the anger and denial stage quite a lot. It's like a grieving process. I actually call it separation. It was a grieving process, and everybody moves through grieving. And they grieve something differently.
Right. Yeah.
Same with a separation, a divorce. You're grieving the loss.
Yeah.
Something quite significant. It's a loss. You're grieving your family unit, your partner. And everyone goes through that differently. And with mine, I think it was that I got stuck in the denial and anger. It was that vicious, I couldn't move on. It was that stuck, that denial, hope that we can work it through. I think that's a good thing. So I never really looked deep into what Joe wanted. So that was a turning point, I'd say probably 18 months ago. 18 months ago. So it's taken a while. But not saying I had moved on, but to really, I think 100%. But that's more knowing myself, getting to know me better, the work. Because the work is hard work. You need to really get down to yourself and know what you want. And that's what I found the hardest, thinking, I'm not in a marriage anymore, I'm not a wife, I'm still a mum, but I'm a part-time mum now. So at the time, what's Joe want? For the first time.
You're able to find where you're going,
where am I going?
Your life's purpose, you know?
So what do I want from life and that passion?
Speaking of that, like you're in the process of healing already, and maybe the acceptance is there in between those years for almost 6 years now. During the process of healing, how did you divert your attention so that you can move forward? So what were your strategies in order for you to, instead of like sulking there and crying like that, this is the end of the world.
That was a lot. There was a lot of crying, tears, and
but that's the process of healing, right?
That is a process of healing.
What were your strategies or techniques? How did you actually move forward?
Let's go back. There was a lot of crying at first. Lots of crying.
I'm sure, lots of tissues.
And I've heard that's good for you, so cry. And still now, I have a tear now and again. Get tears. That's okay. It's healthy. I think it's the people around you, the supportive network. I was very fortunate that I had a close sister, and I got family and parents as well. So it was only as close that knew everything, all the details, and that's something I do recommend. That it's great that you have that 1 or 2 people that you can tell everything to, and be vulnerable. And
I like that network of friends. But of course, you have to choose as well who are those people you can talk to.
Exactly.
Who deserves to hear your stories and your whatever emotions you are dealing with. Because I believe that emotions dictates your actions. But if you have good people around you, they can help you move forward as well. So once again, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people, with good positivity
thoughts.
As well, good thoughts and all that, which is good. You're very lucky. You've got your family sister, Michelle. Michelle, thank you. If you're watching right now, thank you for supporting your
So
sister.
she was my sample, but like you Lee said, there was a big network of friends and family outside that as well. A lot of good friends that knew what was going on as well. So it took me time, because at the time I felt guilty for the breakdown. There was that embarrassment, that stigma, even though in these days it was me, I was a failure. I'd failed. So.
But it's okay to fail, Joe, right? Because it's a prerequisite to success. If if you don't fail, how can you reflect and have that self-evaluation that you can move forward? There's nothing you can really evaluate, right? So failing is good. It ignites success, right? And that was my first video on this channel as well, igniting failure to success. So it's also a blessing in disguise, isn't it? In a second. But I can see, as I said, you are very much empowered. It's been almost 6 years, and look at you now. Ooh, gorgeous.
Thank you.
Right, gorgeous Joe, just like Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, exactly.
I'm Jessica Alba. Sorry. No, just kidding. No, Joe. Let's talk about the...
So that's good, that point you said about failure, because at the
Yeah.
time I felt like a failure. But now if I reflect back, like you said, that definitely wasn't, I wasn't a failure. Yeah, definitely. But definitely I felt like a failure at that time.
Yeah, and good is admission as well. Otherwise, if you have self-denial, that means you're not healing.
Yeah.
There's not a healing process if you don't admit that.
Yeah.
Yeah? Now, how's the co-parent sharing?
Definitely. Oh, look, that wasn't an issue, I don't think. Initially, we were going to co-parent like equally. There was times there when especially in the beginning when I had the kids a lot more, like 80%, 90% because of his need for work and commitments.
Yeah.
Especially in that first 18 months. And so we went with that flow, and till this day I've got to be very lucky that he's very involved with the children. So it is, we do share the kids 50. If there's times when we need to lean on each other a bit extra, we have that relationship. Not saying it was perfect. There were times there, like a roller coaster, it hurt, but we did have that. I had both parents. They had a dad involved as well, and a mum.
Okay.
But it wasn't easy. Getting used to going out with them on your own is that transition. So the co-parenting was there, but having the transition when they come back from their dad, it took a while to adjust, especially that first 24 hours, 48 hours. That was the hardest part. So our co-parenting was fine. We both looked after kids, but when the children came back, them adjusting to my parenting style and me giving that time to adjust back to that environment. So that's what I found really difficult. Before you were together as a team and you're always together in the household, so you could, even though on the same page and communicated. So that was the difficult part about co-parenting, them being in different environments and taking their time, adjusting again. So this is mum's house now, dad's rules, different rules a little bit. And our values, and going back to our separation, I think our values and beliefs are different. Different families, and I think that's when things do rock the boat a little bit, and you're trying to compromise a bit. But the parenting, it's a lot of communication, very difficult, especially when you're
From
going
a distance, right? Communicating from a distance.
Yeah, from a distance. We didn't have that distance because the kids were younger at that stage, so of course they didn't have their phones, and it gets.
Of course.
So I've got to admit, when the kids get older, it gets easier. But it's good to have that routine and structure, because having a communication book, texting's fantastic. The kids knowing they've got a structure and a routine is really important as well, and that communication is very important. Communication, and I'm not saying it hasn't been perfect. You try and get the anger out and you put the children first, but it's a roller coaster.
I just want to ask about the transition, Joe. Within that almost 6 years, when was the year again? Sorry, 6 years.
2015.
There you go, spot on. 2015 to now, up to now. When did you see a good transition with the kids' point of view? That they're all like, because of the co-parenting with the distance as well, that they have adjusted to this, what you call this, arrangement.
It's very different. Both our kids are very mature anyway. I don't think until they're mature, I think this year has been the best year. Not saying they haven't been coping, because a teenager is challenging. It wasn't until this year when my son actually verbally said, I'm actually happy with everything in my life at the moment, where we are both living, school, my friends. So it's a lot, and my daughter as well. So I think this year's probably been the best year. Not saying it hasn't been challenged, they haven't coped, but and I think children don't say a lot more. They think you think everything's going okay, but I think this year's been the best. It could be the ages they are.
Could be because they mature as they grow older, which is good.
They grow older,
there,
and I think the kids the first couple of years may have thought their mum and dad, as all kids, may get together. And then you have the other relationships. If one partner moves on before the other, that's another dynamic that you talking about co-parenting and relationships, and what they hold. It is a difficult one. So if parents think you've got it tough, I think we need to, if you've got children, think about what they're going through.
Yeah, and I strongly believe as well with, because you've got one boy and one girl, right? Not teenagers, okay, grown-ups right now. Looking at your strength and how you have coped with everything for the past almost 6 years, I'm pretty sure that they have also like realized, you know what, if I'm in that situation in the future, because one day they'll have their own relationship.
Yeah.
They'll always look back how my mom or my dad overcome this kind of relationship and still ended up as friends, like good friends, and still like co-parenting and helping each other. So there's still respect if they have their relationship as well. So they will learn from the both of you, the parents itself.
It's a really good comment, Lena. Thank you for the positive. I hope we were role models more times, but however, there were times when there were things, the way I behaved, or I reflect back, wasn't appropriate. And but I think is actually talking to them, saying, you know what, that wasn't right what I said or did. And there were times there I was angry and emotional. So I think that's right. We can never be perfect. I say to the kids, I'm never perfect, but at least tell them, look, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't deal with that very well. And there's a lot of sunlight because it does. I didn't deal. If I look back now, if I go again, because my parents went through a separation, and think, oh my God, I'll never be like that way, and but not until you're actually in it, how you behave is differently. So yes,
I'm looking for some tissue right now. That's okay, but
so,
that's good, because like even though I am in a different world, I have my husband with me, but I can sympathize with the both of you, how you have overcome all the struggles of these relationships and everything like that. And looking at your kids right now, personally, I can see them, how strong they are, how they've embraced positive vibes as well.
Yeah, they have.
And you can see that with their future relationships with, with other people, it can guide them through how they can give back that respect to others, how they can hopefully treasure a certain kind of relationship, because they've experienced that. With the first 6 years, maybe the first year, 2 years, it was a bit of a struggle with my mom and dad. It was really hard, But you know what? I don't want this to happen in the future for my own relationship. Maybe, Joe, you'll never know. They will look back this kind of situation, and it can help them move forward and become better. I'm not saying you're not better, but become better in their relationship, how they handle relationships, because we are in a different generation.
Yes. If I reflect on it now, if you would ask me 6 years ago and I was around, I would say no, it's definitely not what I want, and I'm sure everybody would say exactly the same thing. I don't want to be part of that statistic, I don't want to be separated because I felt embarrassed. I felt I wasn't worthy as a mum, as a wife. I felt guilty. But reflecting on it now, it is the best thing that's happened to me. Not saying it hasn't been easy, but it's been some good times. But look,
roller coaster.
But that is life, even when you live somewhere. And when you live with a partner, it's a life, isn't it? You have your ups and downs.
Yeah, true. And there's a reason why everything is happening. Everything happens for the right, good reason, for us to grow and mature more and become a testimony to others as well. I'm pretty sure there are people who go under depression because they can't cope. They feel like they're alone. They feel like no one is supporting them because they've lost someone, not physically, like they're dead or whatever, but this is more the emotional detachment.
It's an attachment.
And I'm sure they're watching right now, Joe, and they can feel that strength coming from you.
And I think that's what it is. It is that attachment that you do have with that other person, and you feel that you know them more. But going back and learning, what it does do is that going through something like this is that you, for once, you have to dig deep and learn about yourself and go inner self and learn, because that's what we all try to do, don't we? In a relationship, you try not to lose yourself or the fact. But if anything came out of this, that is a positive, that you have no choice. I mean, I was stuck there for a while, but what do? You have the choice to be stuck, you wallow in the past, or you've just got to get up and go and move forward.
That's true. Now, Joe, speaking of moving forward, right, and because you've mentioned about all those experiences from the past almost 6 years, I was just like thinking, someone has asked me, I won't mention her name, she's watching right now.
Okay.
What do you think could be one of the reasons or a few of the reasons why there are like separations like this? Is it because of the social media?
Acceptable, and I think not that we're being selfish or more nothing, into ourselves, is that people are realizing that we have the right to be happy as well and to move on, and we have choices as well, and that's right, not just a male. I think that's what's happening a lot in separations. We're not communicating probably a lot too. A lot of communication and being vulnerable. I say, look at the time you've got now to grow.
Yeah,
So much time to grow. We didn't have that before, and it took a while. There was times in the beginning, children we think, oh my God, I'm going to do. But now it's like there's not enough time because there's so much you want to do with yourself.
More freedom.
More freedom to grow and rethink, and you are yourself. You're not hiding. So it's yourself.
I love that.
It does take time. Keeping yourself busy, doing things that you said negative thought, keeping your tape, saying, no, I can't do that because I haven't got time, I've got kids, I can't financially do that in this position in your family. It's the time to do it.
True. The reason being I've asked that, Joe, thank you for that. The reason being I've asked that because I know a few people of the relationship itself has broken because of social media, like Facebook, there's so many things that happen on Facebook, right guys? Like old friends meeting up, drinking, and then that's it, they realized like it's all infatuation, and they felt like, she was maybe my elementary sweetheart, my crush, blah blah, and then because of the infatuation, they felt like this is it, but it was just infatuation, and then they left the person that they have vowed for an eternity,
Well, they might call that midlife crisis, believe it. Right. Well, it could, and you're right, Facebook, but
social media.
And look, I went through that stage a lot, the anger, like you went out with something, you went back, you went out with your high school sweetheart, but that was the victim stage, and you will go through the blame stage.
So this is more on Facebook, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
there you go.
Call Facebook, school reunions, whatever,
there you
school
go,
reunion,
guys.
anything you call it, or he's got a new, she's got, and you try to compare yourself. It's hard, it hurts because you're like 20 years over infatuation.
I know, infatuation plus this,
exactly,
you vowed for eternal love and all that, and then suddenly there was a reunion or meeting. I was like, oh, there you go.
Because in that person's like,
I like him.
New shiny toy, the new car.
Oh,
it is, and of course, that's what you were in that first stage.
Yeah, and then compare that.
And you compare.
It's not fair, guys.
That's not fair.
Social media is okay, but handle it wisely, smartly as well, because it's not the end of the world.
But no, it's not.
Change something like changing a toy. Like, I don't like this, I'll change it. It's not a kind of a relationship.
No, it's not.
You should have that respect in that relationship, no matter what. Even if your partner looks different from 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Like, I just did this, if I just changed, if I just looked like Jennifer Aniston, if I just had,
You look like Jennifer.
but if I, and I went through that stage in the first 18 months, I said, okay, if I just do this, if I change myself, if I got a better job, he'll probably come, if I did this, but I realised I was changing for him, the other person, to make him, that wasn't the reason, and if someone's not there for you, for who you are, then, and if it is infatuation, is that social media, Facebook, then you've got to let them go. But then it's easier to blame the other person, so it's easier.
We're not blaming anyone.
No, but it's easier. So in a relationship, when people ask you what happened, the first question people do ask you, and it's which one of these questions I can just wipe out. We did work at it. We worked with counselling. It wasn't like
counselling.
We did counselling. We communicated. We did everything.
You did everything.
So maybe some people relationships they're better as friends. And you have a better relationship.
If counselling doesn't work, what else can you do?
Exactly. And I think when I reflect now, I didn't do the work as well. You have to really be there to do the work.
Yeah. Welcome to Jennifer Aniston here, Brad Pitt. Now, Joe, can I ask you a good question?
Yes.
What if one day, this is just hypothetical, okay?
Coming in a bit.
What if one day...
Yes, please. No, she can only ask.
What if one day? Okay, just hypothetical.
What if one day?
What if one day he'll come, just right to the door here, just like a while ago,
just like you hypothetical,
just like a while ago.
He just did actually.
It just happened, and he will say he'll tell Joe, you know what? It's been 6 years, and I've realized that you are my true love, and I made a mistake before. It was just an infatuation, and you are my genuine love, and I'm so sorry for everything what I've done. would you accept me again as your husband because I still love you?
Oh my
Okay.
God, I know Lee wants some really happy fairy tale ending to this.
Motivationally again.
Oh, first of all, I'll go back to say that it was
nothing.
nothing what he done personally or me. We both, if I look back at the Joe I was in that last couple of years of our relationship, oh, wow, I didn't like myself very much. So it wasn't what he did, I did, hypothetically, I think we'll always love each other.
There's still love, yeah.
And I don't think love whatever goes away. It doesn't mean you have to be together and reunite. I'm not saying, love is there. We've got 2 children together. Getting back together, that is a very good question.
Is it a yes or a no?
It's a yes. You're putting me on the spot here. Unless we have both grown apart, and hypothetically, I don't know, and if that day comes along, until that day is there, I don't know what I'd say actually.
Yeah.
So I can't give you an
looking forward
answer.
to
I'm
that.
sorry.
Okay, and
we'll
I'll
have to
another interview.
Maybe another interview. Hypothetically, but we're friends. So hypothetically, that's
the
really
main thing. You're good
nice.
friends, and
And it's
you have a
come.
relationship.
Look, if you're out there now watching this, look, you're saying, "I wish that could happen to me." Look, it wasn't easy.
When did you open your heart to friendship? How long did it take?
Actually, that is a really good question. Look, it comes together when after 18 months, when the hope is gone, the denial's gone, school activities together. Like he was a coach, I was a team leader. So
Wow.
So
team player.
yeah. So even when we first separated that very first year, he was a coach, and we'd see each other twice a week, 3 times a week for games. So
That's good. It seems like nothing has changed.
No,
It's just a house,
and-
separate house.
so we sort of shared the house too for the first couple of years, just
Okay.
that interactive in and out. But people, I think we did that to support our kids, but that was hard because I was still in that denial and hope stage. So we were still good friends. Honesty and respect.
Honesty and respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Yes.
That's a song, right? Let's
Yes,
sing it
yes,
later.
yes,
Let's sing
yes.
later after the wine.
But honesty, yes, after the wine. We only get water here.
Yes.
But,
Cheers to that.
Cheers to water.
There you go.
Honesty, respect, and communication, because if you've been a part of each other's lives for so long, you deserve that.
Yeah.
You may not have worked it out, you're not maybe together now, but you still deserve that respect and honesty.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's
know,
very important.
and it's really
in
important.
any relationship.
And for face value, when you do it for the kids, is at the time you don't think of the future, but there is going to be a future. You still have to see each other. You still have to communicate. And like I said to my friends, I think I communicate a lot better now. We talk more, and we laugh probably a lot more now than when we were together. So
Let's say, for example, if you're going to talk to Joe 5 years ago, okay, you have another Joe there, which is you as well.
yeah.
What would you tell her 5 years ago, or almost 6 years ago?
When this was happening,
Yeah, what would you tell her?
breathe first of all.
Breathe. There you go.
Breathe. I think I had to
Okay.
breathe. My world was crashing. To that Joe then, my world was just crumbling around me. Yeah, so everything, my whole life was torn apart. It was just broken. I was broken because my marriage was everything. I think it's going to be okay, and to take one day at a time, one step at a time.
What can you tell? So that's 5 years ago, Joe, right?
That's
What
5
can you
years
tell Joe right now? What can you tell Joe right now? The Joe today.
I made it. It was worth it. It was amazing. It was a journey. It was a chapter of my life, and that's what I say. It was a chapter. I read a book soon after the separation called The Season. It's called It's a Season. It's a season.
Okay.
So same thing with the separation. It's a season like winter. It's going to pass. It will pass. It will pass. It will pass. It may not be the best chapter of the book, but when you start reading the chapter, but as you progress through the chapter, it gets better. It does get better, and you've learned from that. So I turned to more that spirituality, like Reiki.
Oh, Reiki.
Reiki. That mind, body, and soul. I was saying before that when you get attracted to someone, it's great to be physical attracted, but there's more depths, that mind, body.
Are you doing it as a business or something?
Yeah, I started it. So I did it as a group.
You can plug that here
Yes,
as well.
I
It's
can.
free anyway.
Mind, body, and
Reiki.
soul, Reiki, which I am doing. And I'm doing that in hand with. Because I was doing a lot of counselling, but more the holistic coaching with it as well. So the Reiki is the first part, which I do. Usually it takes takes a good hour, 45 minutes depending on the need. And then the coaching, holistic coaching is a good half an hour, and that's where I find people get that clarity and direction and passion when they can actually talk. So Reiki clears all your channels. And that last part of the session is fantastic. That it's that counselling. I do the holistic counselling. You know, where you're going to go from here. You know, physically, people want to work on. Is it their physical? Is it their mental health? You know.
Do you have a website that they can have a little look?
Oh, I haven't got a website, but I haven't got a mobile number at this stage. It's Reiki Mind, Body and Soul.
Reiki Mind, Body and Soul. Does it say Joe Harper?
Joe Harper, and the mobile number, that's what I've got. Okay. So I can give that out, but it's Australian.
Reiki Mind, Body and Soul.
And that's where I found my passion. So I was actually giving. So me, instead of being in that slump and moping, oh my God, I've lost the past, I was helping other people, and I actually saw what I was getting back from other people.
Mission, Joe.
Yeah, I am.
And if you need someone like this, Mind, Body and Soul Reiki, please contact Jo on her Facebook page. It says Joe Harper, right?
It says Joe Harper, and then the mobile number.
You can find that. You're the only Joe Harper, I hope. It's Joanne Harper, right?
Just Joe. It's Joanne Harper on Facebook. Joanne.
Joanne, then Harper, Harper. Am I right? It's like a mission for you right now. After all those pain, ups and downs, and then the wins,
and then helping others.
Yeah, now you, as I said a while ago, early on, you become a testimony to other people.
You know,
and please contact Jo for that.
When I look back now, I'm thinking how lucky I am. But when you're in the position, when you're in it, you feel like you're the worst. But you'll realise when you look back and thinking you really are lucky. And I am. I feel like.
I've learned so much today, Jo. I love that word that you have, that creative, I call it creative thinking.
Yeah.
You have that time, the me time, like, you know, think about how we can do it better, because we become a blessing to other people as well, right?
You do.
That's why we have this channel Motivationalee as well.
That's a great.
Love your story. Can we just make it as a movie? But movie, life after separation. Jo, sincerely, I would like to thank you for your time. I know you're busy today, but guys, look at her. She has lots of things to do, but thank you for this precious moment. I will eternally be grateful for this, and forever is on my YouTube channel anyways.
I really appreciate it.
We've got all, our life has different kinds of lemons, right?
Yes.
So squeeze the lemon, okay? Squeeze that sourness and make it, you know, like convert it into sweet meringue, whatever it is. Guys, in everything that we do in every relationship, we've got to work on it together. Every day, I believe it's very important that we appreciate our partner every day, even though they look horrible every day after waking up, you know. But it's not all about the physical appearance. It's all about how you have grown together. Learn to value them and learn to respect them as well, and learn to, you know, the 5 love languages, Jo? Yeah. Next time we'll talk about that, but the 5 love languages, you know, there's affirmation, and obviously there is also, like, you need to make sure that there is service as well. Make sure, guys, find that book. You can Google it, 5 love languages, so you can work on your relationship.
It's about, you know, loving the other person, but don't forget to self-love yourself first. That's really important.
Love yourself.
Love yourself.
More. But don't be selfish. Balance. The word is balance. And hopefully, guys, we've inspired you today. Thank you so much for watching, and be a blessing to everyone, guys. See you again next time, only here on Motivationalee. Stay happy.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you.